What's up, everybody? All right, today we're going to be talking about chapter 4 of our book, which is titled Evaluating and Judging. When I first started reading this chapter, it was pretty interesting as I realized that we evaluate and judge in everything we do in life. So today we're going to be doing some social studies things, but before that I'm going to give you like some everyday examples of how we evaluate and judge. So for example, we use evaluating and judging when we pick our shoes. So if I wanted to pick shoes, I would pick between, and this is me personally, I would pick between Adidas and Nike because they are the most popular brands and they have the best shoes out right now. So we could evaluate and judge in other things too, like if I wanted to play an instrument, would I rather buy a drum set or a guitar? If I wanted to go to the movies, what movie would I pick? Would I pick one that is highly rated, or would I pick one that doesn't have high ratings but seems interesting? If I wanted to pick a computer, would I pick a Dell or an Apple? So we could do things like that. And my final example is just like phones. Would I pick an Apple phone or would I pick an Android? In all of these things, we will use some form of evaluating and judging. So for the shoes, the guitars, the movies, computers, phones, we would all most likely go into the internet, do some type of comparisons, which is the evaluating portions, and then based on those comparisons, we would make a final judgment. And that's basically what this whole chapter is about, helping us to realize that we use evaluating and judging in everything that we do. Today, we are going to be in a social studies setting. You're going to be 5th grade students. So right now, if you could switch gears and begin thinking like 5th graders, we can get started. All right, as I said before, we're going to be talking about the first 8 amendments. There are 27 amendments, but today for my mini lesson, we're just going to talk about the first 8. While I'm explaining these first 8 amendments, I want you to be thinking and I want you to be taking notes, because at the end you're going to have to evaluate and judge based on what I said and pick one amendment that stands out the most to you. So basically what I'm saying is I want you to pick one amendment that you can't live without or that is the most important to you. All right, amendment number 1 is you have the freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. This is something that is very important because without this amendment, we could probably get indicted for simple things. All right, amendment number 1. It guarantees the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, press, assembly, and petition. This is very important because without this amendment, we wouldn't be able to hold protests. We wouldn't be able to wear certain shirts. I mean, you still can't wear some things in certain places, but it just gives us much more freedom to do what we want. Amendment number 2 gives us the right to bear arms. Right now, a lot of people are taking classes on basically so that they can be able to carry guns. So without this amendment, this wouldn't be possible, and a lot of people wouldn't feel safe because they wouldn't feel like they couldn't protect themselves if something happened. Amendment number 3. Soldiers cannot be housed in a private home without the consent of the owner. That's pretty self-explanatory. Amendment number 4 says that we have the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures. This is something that I see on TV all the time when I watch shows like Cops or Behind Bars on the History Channel or So basically, if a cop comes to your home and asks to search your house, if you don't give them consent, then they can't come in. But This amendment basically protects a police officer from just running to your house, finding evidence or trying to find evidence, and basically indicting you for something you didn't do or unreasonably. So, number 5, it guarantees due process of law. So it basically says that it guards against double jeopardy. Double jeopardy means that you can't be taken back to prison for the same crime that you have already been tried for. So say if a person went to court and they tried to indict him for murder and he was basically let off after the trial, they can't bring him back again and try to put him in jail for that same crime. Number 6 says that you have the right to a speedy and public trial. That's pretty self-explanatory. They can't hold you in jail forever without giving you a trial date or basically moving forward with the case. Amendment 7 says that in your trial, you have the right to have a jury, and most likely you will. And Amendment 8 says that it prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. So basically that prevents the system from going above and beyond and trying to punish you. So basically, if say you killed a bunny rabbit or something like that, they can't give you the electric chair. So that's basically what that's saying. They can't give you cruel and unusual punishment for crimes that you have committed. Just based off these first 8 amendments, I'm stuck between Amendment number 6, which is the right to a speedy and public trial, and I'm stuck between Amendment number 1, which is it gives me the freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. So right now I'm thinking, which one is actually more prevalent to how I'm living in today's society? Number 6 seems pretty important, but right now I'm not on trial, so that's not important to me. So actually, I'm going to pick Amendment number 1, which is, again, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. I picked this amendment because without this amendment, I wouldn't be able to be a Christian. I could be persecuted. I wouldn't be able to say things or tell people how I feel about certain things because I wouldn't have those rights. Press, assembly, and petition. Say if I wanted to be in a protest assembly, I wouldn't be able to do that without this amendment. So I'm going to pick freedom of speech. So what I want you guys to do is to pick the amendment that you feel like is the most important and that you can't live without right now. And once you pick that, I want you to write a 3 to 5 sentence paragraph just explaining why it's important to you.
Go.
All right, as you can see, I've already started writing. I'm gonna do a little think aloud right now, and I'm gonna show you what I'm thinking, and I'm gonna write a very quick paragraph and show you why I picked amendment number 1. All right, amendment number 1, I picked amendment number 1 because without it, I wouldn't have the freedom to be a Christian, or practice free speech. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to let you guys continue writing. And in your paragraph, just say why it's important to you and what would happen if this amendment weren't in place, giving you these rights.